a litany in my slumber. As we drove, Demosthenes enthusiastically jolted my gaze skyward to see the swallow's line of flight and the diving of the sun. The Vuti Matuilu. I think, can we have a minute break to let the Hodja say his prayer, and we'll return. Yeah. So after hearing the lovely voice of the Muezzin, back to the summer before my father abducted me from the island. As we drove toward the village, Demosthenes enthusiastically jolted my gaze skyward to see the swallow's line of flight and the diving of the sun, the Vuti Manduilio, as he called it, quoting a line from Libertis, one of the dialect poets. I had no idea of his plans or dreams, nor that he had planned his own line of flight, when he told me to look at the sky and see how the September clouds were coming. The swallows were gathering for their flight to the south. If I had known that he was also planning a line of flight, sailing north, not south, I would have told him he was going in the wrong direction. Or why go anywhere? The days were still hot, so there was no reason to fly away yet. Right here was just fine for the moment. As we drove from Salamis along the coastal road, I stuck my head out of the open car window to feel the waves of changing days spread out in the yellowing fields, unfolding in front and inside me, under the ripening sun, sinking in between the mountains, catching fire in joyful exit into the dying embers of dusk, like a final moment of illumination and hallucination. Why was the sun dipping or diving silently, I wondered? Or perhaps it was making a sound in the far distance I could not hear. What kind of sound would it make as it set fire to the mountains, or quenched its own heat as it sank into the sea? Could the sun be numbed into silence? My ears were clogged up with seawater, and maybe that's why I couldn't hear it. The Sibyls knew how to unclog ears with words of olive oil warm to the ear, like the magic of their language. I stuck my head out of the window to seize the sensuality of my thoughts in the dusty sweetness lingering and licking me with a tongue of warm air and sea, clinging on until as long and as far as I could stretch out the borders of my barefoot summer, until whenever and however far that might be. Demosthenes told me sharply, "Bring your head back inside before you lose it," as he veered to the left off the hot asphalt road to make room for an oncoming car, and suddenly turned off, churning the dust over trail through the whispering fields, heading toward the village, avoiding the main road. After the admonishment, I pulled my head inside, now covered with a membrane of dust particles and chaff. Satisfied to have another layer of grime over the sea brine and sand grains that covered my skin, my body exuded the nectar of the sea. I pulled my legs onto the hot, cracked leather car seat and turned my attention from my head to the soles of my hardened, calloused feet, contemplating the secrets they had absorbed all summer long from the skin of the uneven earth, humming in the exhilarated heat. I knew the warmth would linger until the sticky web of October and the feast of Ayos Iagovos. He was a healer of hearing. So if you were deaf, gufos, or had an earache, you went to the church to make a votive offering or a prayer, and then receive warm drops of olive oil in your ear and listen to the sounds of the world and even of heaven, they said, if you close your eyes and listen.
που πάνω που τον ουρανό έχει ψάθια πλωμένα και κάθονται οι κορασιές και συζητούν για μένα και κάθονται οι κορασιές και συζητούν για μένα. Αγάπα, αγάπα, όμορφες τον νουνε πήρα μου τον, τώρα που με πελάνα συνήρταν και φέρα μου τον, τώρα που με πελάνα συνήρταν και φέρα μου τον. Που πάνω που τον ουρανό οι κορασιές πετούσιν, μαν έξω που την πόρταν τους είναι οι που ζητούσιν, μαν έξω που την πόρταν τους είναι οι που ζητούσιν. Λαλούν μου τα μελαχρινά πως εν έχουν αγαπήν και για να μελαχρινών την νιώτη μοχάσα την και για να μελαχρινών την νιώτη μοχάσα την.
Oh, how did we live in those years? My dead ones return to me in dreams. My lost ones, my found zeros, tucked up inside me, crawling out in the small, crooked hours, finding a crack in the crook of the night. Those thieves of reason in the dream garden. Oh, how did we live in those years, in the oh of those years, with our clocks and our quotas, like the oh of those clocks and those quotas, with our ticking neuroses, our hastily improvised masks, our personalities junked and jumpy on marionette strings. Do they return in the night? The dream ones, in the oh of those dreams, in the rage of secret courage, in the roar of public clamor, seeking refuge and reparation, demanding trust and transformation, refuge and transformation in those dreams. Strange talismans, and turning away from the mercury tides of the polluted current that brought us here in our tar-encrusted crystal coracles, or flying in on dream-bought wings, buoyed up by the warm currents of benevolent sleep. Oh, how we lived then, the dead speak. Something about the sea. Lost at sea, they kept strange talismans. I am their archon now. Animal love, mammal embrace, fading print, ghostly projection, the lunatic asylum that is family. My grandma comes to me in dreams. asking gently, did they cut off my leg? I'm so sorry, Granny Cathy. Yes. Empty city. You have risen to become ruler of an empty city, an old port now very far from the sea. You are racing against the shadow of the crow, the blur of feathers in the corner of your eye, a thumbprint in every attempt at a smiling self-portrait. An ill-timed orchestra of ghosts is growing fat on unspoken grief, petulant at the lack of a conductor. They prowl the twilight of the abandoned promontory in their Sunday best. Don't tell me it's too late. It was always too late. And now is the only moment that can change that.